For more information and analysis, joining us now, Dr. Auqaab Alizai, Professor of Strategic Studies. Good evening and welcome to Qahera News. Going back to what Wall Street published recently, is the American priority right now has become more about guaranteeing free navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. Does this mean that the priority is no longer the nuclear program, but it has become freedom of negotiation, and this has become the key to end the war and to keep the ceasefire?
Okay, let's get back to basics here. When the MoU was agreed, there were a number of articles, 14 articles that needed to be satisfied for all to work. Specifically, the most important ones were, number one, Lebanon, the conflict, including Lebanon, as far as Article 1 was concerned, and all use of force on all fronts, and the use of threat of force must be finished, and there should not be any. This is fundamental to the whole agreement. Then you come to different articles 4 and 5, the blockade and the freedom to reduce a blockade, which the Americans have not, and the freedom of access in and out of the Hormuz Strait, freedom of access for shipping and normal access for civilian traffic as well. Now that's Article 5. What the US wants is for Article 5 to be implemented. However, the Iranians are saying the fundamental aspect of the whole MoU is that all aspects of the MoU must be carried through, especially Article 1, Article 4, which means the blockade be moved, and within 30 days. That never happened, so they've got an issue with that. And then Article 5 will be. But if Article 5 is the only thing the Americans want without committing to the other aspects, how can the MoU be carried forward? So there's somebody who's in infringement of that, and this is why the Iranians, as far as they're concerned, are using the Hormuz Strait to pressure the Americans to commit to the other articles. They're saying that without committing to the other articles, how can you expect to first commit to the Hormuz Strait being open completely without you also committing to the other articles? Now, this is where the tussle is, and this is where the problem lies. And there are other aspects, the unfreezing of assets, the reconstruction of $300 billion to be agreed upon and assured, as well as allowing Iran to export oil, and these things. These are very important.
I have a quick comment. As you know, each side interprets the MoU in a different way. But when it comes to Iranian demands or conditions, Iran mentions American withdrawal, giving recompensation, lifting sanctions. Practically, what can the U.S. accept out of these conditions? Are these conditions even negotiable, in your opinion?
Well, this was the MoU. This is 100% the MoU. What you've just mentioned is the MoU. So if you're not committing to the MoU, you can't demand only one aspect of it. You can't demand, as far as the Iranians are concerned, and I understand the logic behind it, but also there are other issues with tankers being attacked. And this is a leverage point. This is a pressure point that the Iranians are using to pressure the Americans to commit to the other aspects in Article 1. Trump is always saying he's going to annihilate Iran. He's going to destroy the civilization. He's going to attack infrastructure. Well, that is the threat of use of force. This is absolutely against Article 1. It's not just Lebanon. Lebanon was at the forefront of that. So there has to be a commitment on all sides. And if they continue to say they're going to attack, then how can trust be built? Then you're not committing. That's where it breaks down continuously. If he wants to use the threat of force as a point of pressure, then the Iranians will also do so. This is, from what I read, this is the objective outlook. I'm not trying to be subjective in my opinions towards Iran or the United States. I try to maintain a neutral position by looking at the reality of the situation. You have to commit to all points. The whole idea why it broke down was because Israel was not committing itself, and the Americans did not push and commit the Israelis to Lebanon, which is continuing its attacks amongst the civilians in Lebanon. And this is one of the fundamental issues, as well as the use of force in other ways. So I think there has to be a sit down. Now we've got a certain lull in violence again. and hopefully it doesn't reoccur, but more likely than not, it may well, then there is time for thinking. And this is where the Oman and Iranian technical talks come in. But Iran has also said that this, irrespective of the conclusion and the agreement between Oman and Iran, that does not mean that the Hormuz Strait will open. There's a reason for that, because the Americans are not committing, as far as they're concerned, to the other articles, and that's what they want.
Speaking of the Strait of Hormuz, as you mentioned, the Hormuz practically has become a pressure card. Each side is trying to use it to its fullest effect, be it the Iranians or the Americans. Iran says that they can only open it if behavior changed on the American side, and the U.S. said they can't lift the blockade except Iran changes its behavior. So, in your opinion, who has the stronger pressure card, the U.S. or Iran?
Well, if the United States says that Iran must give up the Hormuz Strait, etc., well, Hormuz Strait is their main leverage for everything in real world. So once they give that up, what do they have? So they will continue to allow the Americans to know that they can disrupt it, meaning the Iranians can disrupt it at any point in time. And the Americans have got the blockade to cause problems as well. So I think it is stepping back, meeting, talking, and understanding to have recommitment. But this is what this whole re-eruption of violence was. It was for the Americans to renegotiate Article 1, meaning Lebanon. And that's not happening. And that's why this will continue until there's a breakthrough on that. The MoU has not been put into abeyance. The MoU has not been abandoned. It's still there. It's a matter of practically applying what they could. And remember, the 60 days that they had is overdone.
Thank you. We had Dr. Auqaab Alizai, Professor of Strategic Studies.
Thank you very much.